The power of the cross is one of the most profound and transformative truths in human history. It stands not just as a symbol, but as a defining moment where love triumphed over hate, forgiveness over sin, and hope over despair. At the center of the cross is a message that transcends time, culture, and circumstance, a message of redemption and grace. The cross speaks to the deepest needs of the human heart. It tells us that we are not abandoned in our brokenness. It tells us that no matter how far we may feel from peace, no matter how heavy our burdens or how deep our wounds, there is a way back, a way that has already been made for us. Through the cross, mercy is extended to the guilty and healing is offered to the hurting. It was on the cross that the weight of sin was carried, not by those who deserved to bear it, but by one who was innocent. In that sacrifice, justice was satisfied and love was revealed in its fullest measure. The cross is not about condemnation, but about invitation, an invitation to experience new life, to walk in freedom, and to know a peace that surpasses understanding. The power of the cross does not lie in the wood or the nails, but in what was accomplished there. It is power not to dominate, but to deliver. It is strength made perfect in weakness, and it calls to each of us not just to believe, but to be transformed. For in the shadow of the cross, pride is humbled, hate is silenced, and the human soul is awakened to grace. Even today, that power is at work. It brings reconciliation where there is division, restoration where there is ruin, and purpose where there was once only pain. The cross changes everything, not just our past, but our present and our future. And it stands as a reminder that love is stronger than death, and hope is never out of reach. The cross has long stood as a symbol recognized around the world, but its true significance lies far beyond its shape or historical context. At the heart of its meaning is the reality of redemption and grace, a profound, life-altering truth that reaches into the very soul of humanity. It represents the moment where divine love intersected with human need, where brokenness was met with restoration, and where the guilty were offered pardon through the sacrifice of the innocent. The cross is not just a relic of the past or a religious icon. It is the expression of a love so deep and powerful that it chose suffering in order to save. Redemption, in its essence, is about being bought back, rescued, and restored. The cross is the price paid for that redemption, not with gold or silver, but with blood and sacrifice. It tells the story of a God who did not remain distant or indifferent to the plight of humanity, but stepped into the pain and chaos of the world to offer a way out, a way home. This act was not conditional or earned. It was freely given, an act of grace extended to all, regardless of merit, background, or failures. That is what makes the cross so powerful. It does not discriminate. It reaches to the lost, the broken, the ashamed, the forgotten. Grace, by its very definition, is undeserved favor. The cross declares that even at our worst, we are not beyond the reach of God's love. It offers hope to those who feel unworthy, comfort to those who feel they have reached the end of the road. The power of the cross lies in its ability to rewrite stories, to take what was ruined and make it whole, to turn mourning into joy and ashes into beauty. It is not merely about forgiveness of sins, though that is central. It is about a complete transformation of the heart, a restoration of identity and purpose. In a world where people often feel the need to, the cross speaks directly to the deepest and most personal needs of the human heart. In every soul, there is a longing for peace, for purpose, for forgiveness, and for love that doesn't fail. The human experience is marked by both joy and pain, hope and heartbreak. We all carry wounds, some visible, some hidden. We wrestle with guilt from past mistakes, shame from things we cannot undo, and fears about the future. The cross meets us in that place. It doesn't ignore our pain or pretend it doesn't exist. Instead, it enters into our suffering and offers healing from the inside out. At its core, the message of the cross is one of profound compassion. It acknowledges that life is hard, that people are imperfect, and that the world is often unfair. Yet it does not leave us hopeless. Instead, it offers a solution that doesn't rely on our own strength or goodness. The cross says, you are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are not beyond saving. That is a message every heart needs to hear, especially in a world where people are constantly told they must measure up or perform to be accepted. There is a reason the cross resonates so deeply with those who are hurting. It reminds us that suffering is not meaningless, that our pain is seen, and that our struggles matter. It assures us that redemption is possible even in the darkest chapters of our lives. The cross is where justice and mercy meet, where the consequences of sin are dealt with, not by condemning the sinner, but by offering a substitute who bore the penalty in our place. This is not just theology, it is deeply personal. It means we can be free from the burden of guilt. It means we can forgive others because we ourselves have been forgiven. Furthermore, the cross offers peace, true, lasting peace that goes beyond circumstances. It is a peace that settles the restlessness of the soul, a peace that says, you are accepted, you are loved, you are safe. This peace cannot be found in material success, relationships, or achievements. It can only be found in the one who gave everything on the cross so that we might live with a sense of security and belonging that nothing in this world can offer. The power of the cross is most clearly seen in the profound truth that the sacrifice was made not by the guilty, but by the innocent. This truth sets the cross apart from any other act of sacrifice in history. It was not simply a tragic death or an act of martyrdom. It was a deliberate and willing offering by one who had no sin, no fault, and no reason to bear punishment, yet chose to do so out of love. The one who was perfect in every way took the place of the imperfect. This is the heart of substitution, where justice was satisfied not by condemning those who deserved it, but by the willing sacrifice of one who deserved none of it. Justice, by definition, demands that wrongs be made right. In a human sense, this means that those who break the law must pay the penalty. But in the divine sense, the standard is much higher, absolute holiness and righteousness. Every failure, every sin, every selfish act falls short of that standard. And yet, rather than humanity being left to face the consequences of its own rebellion, someone stepped in. The cross becomes the place where justice was fully carried out, not ignored, not dismissed, but fulfilled in the most unexpected way. The innocent bore the weight so that the guilty could go free. This act was not forced. It was not a mistake or an accident of history. It was a choice made out of love so deep and pure that it's difficult to comprehend. To willingly suffer for the sake of others, to endure humiliation, pain, and even death when one has done nothing wrong, that kind of love is rare and unmatched. The cross reveals this love in its clearest form. It wasn't about what was fair. It was about what was necessary to bridge the gap between God and humanity. In that one act, mercy and truth met, righteousness and peace kissed. The innocent one stood in the place of sinners so that the guilty could be declared righteous. This divine exchange is at the center of the gospel. The perfect life was given for imperfect lives, so that through faith those who believe could be seen as spotless, clothed not in their own goodness, but in the righteousness of the one who died for them. There is no greater demonstration of humility than what happened at the cross. Power laid itself down. Innocence carried guilt. Purity bore shame, and through it all, love never wavered. This sacrifice was not done with reluctance or bitterness, but with compassion and resolve. It fulfilled the demands of justice and opened the way for grace. The cross is the ultimate expression of what it means to give everything for the sake of another, not because they earned it, but simply because they are loved. The cross, more than anything, is an invitation. It does not stand to condemn, but to welcome. While it represents the weight of sin and the cost of redemption, it ultimately points to mercy, not judgment. It extends open arms to the broken, the weary, the lost, and even the defiant. Its message is not, you are too far gone, but rather, You are not beyond reach. The cross does not shout with condemnation. It whispers with compassion. It says, come as you are, not after you've fixed yourself or proven your worth, but exactly as you are, in your weakness, your confusion, your failure. This invitation is universal. No one is disqualified. The thief on the cross beside Jesus had nothing left to offer, no good deeds to point to, no time to make amends. And yet he was promised paradise in his final moments. That moment reveals the heart of the cross. It doesn't require perfection, only surrender. It's not about religion or ritual, but relationship. The cross invites people into a new life, a new identity, and a new beginning. It's not merely about turning over a new leaf. It's about being made new entirely from the inside out. This invitation is deeply personal. The cross reaches past labels and appearances straight into the heart. Doesn't matter who you are, what you've done, or what's been done to you. It doesn't matter how far you've run or how long you've wandered. The cross stands as a constant call home. It invites the proud to humility, the hurting to healing, and the restless to peace. It beckons us not to strive harder, but to trust deeper, not to carry the burden, but to lay it down. But this invitation isn't only for a moment, it's for a lifetime. It's not just about forgiveness of past sins, but about daily grace, daily renewal, daily communion with the one who gave everything. The cross invites us to live differently, not under the weight of guilt or the pressure of performance, but in the freedom of being fully known and fully loved. It calls us not to earn love, but to respond to it, to live lives marked by that same grace, extending to others the mercy we have received. The beauty of the cross is that it doesn't just cleanse the past. It empowers the present and secures the future. Those who respond to its invitation are not just forgiven, they are transformed. They are no longer defined by shame, fear, or regret, but by hope, peace, and a new identity rooted in love. The cross opens the door to reconciliation with God and with others. It creates unity where there was division and peace where there was strife. It becomes the foundation for a new way of living, one marked not by judgment, but by joy. The power of the cross does not lie in the wood, the nails, or the physical agony alone. It lies in what was accomplished there. At first glance, the cross appears to be a symbol of defeat, a cruel instrument of torture and execution. But beneath that surface is a reality far greater. It is the place where divine purpose met human need, where heaven reached down to earth, and where the greatest victory in history was won. The power of the cross is not about force or control. It is about deliverance. It is not strength in the way the world defines it, but a deeper, eternal strength made perfect in surrender and sacrifice. What happened on the cross changed everything. It broke the power of sin, removed the barrier between God and humanity, and opened a path to reconciliation that had once been impossible. The cross was not a last-minute solution or a plan gone wrong. It was always the plan designed not to destroy, but to redeem. It wasn't just the end of one life. It was the beginning of new life for all who would believe. Through the cross, chains are broken and burdens are lifted through it. People are no longer defined by their failures, their past, or their pain, but by the love and victory that was secured there. The strength of the cross is quiet, yet unstoppable. It doesn't impose itself by force, but it draws hearts with compassion. It offers something that nothing else in this world can give: true freedom. Freedom from guilt, freedom from shame, freedom from the constant pressure to prove ourselves or earn forgiveness. This power there. The strength of the cross is quiet, yet unstoppable. It doesn't impose itself by force, but it draws hearts with compassion. It offers something that nothing else in this world can give: true freedom. Freedom from guilt, freedom from shame, freedom from the constant pressure to prove ourselves or earn forgiveness. This power is transformative because it works not from the outside in, but from the inside out. It reaches deep into the heart, reshaping identity and restoring dignity. It speaks to every soul. You are not who your worst moments say you are. You are not the sum of your mistakes. You are loved, chosen, and redeemed. The cross is also a declaration. It declares that love is not just a feeling, but an action, a love so powerful that it gave everything, even life itself, for the sake of others. That love does not fade or weaken. It continues to speak across time and culture, inviting each generation to believe, to receive, and to live in the light of what has already been done. The work is finished. The price is paid. Nothing needs to be added to it. That is why the power of the cross is enduring, because it rests not on human effort, but on divine accomplishment. This power is not just theological or symbolic. It is deeply practical and personal. It meets people in their everyday struggles, in doubt, in fear, in grief, and breathes hope into the darkest places. It gives strength to the weak, peace to the anxious, and purpose to the wandering. The cross may have appeared to be the end of the story, but in truth, it was the turning point of history. What was accomplished there continues to change hearts, rewrite destinies, and restore lives one person at a time. The power of the cross is not confined to a moment in history. It is alive and active today, continuing to transform lives across the world. It is not simply a relic of the past or a symbol we wear. It is a reality that still reaches into the present with the same force, the same grace, and the same love as it did over 2,000 years ago. What happened on the cross is not just something to be remembered. It's something to be experienced daily in the lives of those who believe. Even now, the cross brings reconciliation where there is division. In a world torn apart by hatred, violence, and injustice, the cross speaks a better word. It calls enemies to become brothers and sisters, strangers to become family, and the divided to find common ground at the foot of the cross. It teaches forgiveness in a world that prefers revenge. It teaches humility in a world that celebrates pride. Where there is bitterness, it plants the seed of healing. Where there is confusion, it offers clarity. Where there is despair, it plants hope. The cross also brings restoration to what has been broken. So many walk through life carrying hidden wounds, rejections, regrets, deep sadness, or a sense of worthlessness. The cross does not ignore those wounds. It gently restores what has been lost. It speaks value over every soul, reminding us that we were worth dying for. It takes what is shattered and lovingly pieces it back together, not to make it as it was, but to make it something new, even more beautiful. The cross gives purpose to pain and turns suffering into testimony. Nothing is wasted when it is surrendered to the power of the cross. Perhaps most beautifully, the cross gives purpose to our lives. It tells us we are not accidents or mistakes. We were created with intention, redeemed with love, and called with a purpose. The cross transforms not just how we are seen by God, but how we see ourselves and others. It compels us to live differently, to love deeper, serve humbler, forgive quicker, and shine brighter. It empowers us to be carriers of hope in a world that so desperately needs it. This is the ongoing power of the cross, not just to save, but to sustain. Not just to redeem, but to renew. It is a source of strength when we are weak, a light when we are lost, and a refuge when we are overwhelmed. And it invites each of us to come not with perfection, but with honesty, not with answers, but with openness. Because in the end, the cross is not just a story of death, it is a story of life. A life freely given, a life eternally secured, and a life available to all who believe. In times of confusion, when the heart is overwhelmed and the mind is filled with questions, the cross remains a steady anchor. It is a reminder that we are seen and known completely and still loved completely. It reaches into the chaos of life and brings a calm assurance that there is a purpose to our pain, a plan for our lives, and a love that will never let go. Earn their worth or prove their value, the cross stands in sharp contrast. It tells a different story, that we are loved not because of what we do, but because of who God is. That love is not based on performance or perfection, but on the unchanging nature of grace. The cross is the loudest declaration of that love, echoing through time and offering redemption to anyone who will receive it. It breaks down barriers and builds bridges, not just between God and humanity, but also between people across divides of race, class, background, and belief.